Hi, I'm Riley,
And I'm Jordan.
and today we're going to convert a class component to a functional component. So, Jordan, we have this application. We are going to be converting class components to functional components. This is a React application. It is now, well, actually, you tell me, why is it important to move from class components to functional components nowadays?
So usually, at least I want to move to functional components so that I can utilize React hooks in my new code. I don't really see a reason to change working code if we're not going to do anything to it.
Okay, so for those that are watching, we're using an application right now called Tuple to record this. Tuple is not a sponsor, we pay for it, but it is an awesome, awesome application for paired programming. So what it looks like, if we come over here to the code, it looks like we have an array of users inside of state that is asynchronously got from API, and that is done on component did mount. And then we have a toggle select, which is what this function is doing, I'm guessing. And it sets the state.
User.
Yep. Okay, and I'm guessing somewhere down the line it's saying, hey, show this box if we have an ID. And then filtered name, so we have kind of like a pseudo search thing to where we can come up here and we can type in Irvin and it will show Irvin. So I guess the first step in this would be to convert this from a class component to a functional component. Do you want to do that, Jordan?
For now, we'll comment out this line and it'll break everything. But we can say const app equals function. Doesn't take any props, so I'm just not even going to put anything there. And then that will still have everything broken because they're all in class syntax.
So another, I think something super important to distinguish here is we're using TypeScript, right? And by using TypeScript, that's how you could tell that there was no props, because TypeScript said there are no props being passed in. So
correct. Also, because this is our top level app component and we're using create React app. So therefore there are no props. We now have our app, and the only other required thing is to, instead of rendering, take that out, and this return statement becomes our render. So we take out that extra curly bracket.
Then honestly, I think we should just comment out the constructor, the component did mount, the toggle select, and the filter names.
So we'll just comment out all the way to our return. And this will just make that a no op, as well as here. And then I guess we do need these two values.
And then just do like an empty array right there. Yeah, or like, but it's going to scream at you because I think ID is supposed to be a number.
Oh, is it a number? So it will. So
that's the beauty of TypeScript. I would just put 1 there, just hard code 1. I guess that does, yeah, there you go. So real quick question for you. Why did you choose using a arrow function versus an anonymous function?
Instead of doing
the function declaration, yeah.
I just use arrow functions.
I would answer the same way. Like I just prefer arrow functions everywhere.
It was less keys to type.
That's actually a good excuse not to do it. Yeah, and I agree. I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong answer there. It's just like,
in this case, I didn't need any of the hoisting that the function declaration provides, and I don't care to name this. So
if that's so, what would be the hoisting? Like what example would you use for that?
If I wanted to, say, define something that uses the function before the actual function, then you'd want to use the function declaration. So then you could use this early and it won't yell at you.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great reason to do it. So
Whereas
sweet.
if this was a const and an arrow function, it should yell at you, but maybe it won't.
Maybe.
Inside a function.
Yeah, if you wanted to use that towards the top.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, so now it's my turn to take it over. I think the first thing that I'm going to do, besides get rid of that comment because it's not needed anymore, is I'm going to start out by adding some sort of state to this. So up here we've got this import all as React. So basically, and I would love to get your opinion on this actually, Jordan, is typically how I would do this is I would only pass in one bit of state per use state hook.
Mhm.
What is your opinion on that? Do you think we should use both of these values inside of the single declaration, or do you think it's better to have the two different declarations?
I think it depends when you're updating them.
Ooh, okay.
So since we only ever change the actual users array once when we fetch it initially, I would say do not put them together.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would say try to keep them as separate as possible as well. But obviously, your answer is probably better than mine. So to do this, you would do React.use state is how this works in functional components now. And in here, by default, you'll see that in this constructor that we had by default users is an empty array. So we are going to move that to an empty array by default. So when this is initialized, it will be an empty array. And then right here, we are going to say users. And then the first argument, always the object that you're trying to get, or in this case, the array. And then the second argument is setting that property. So, it's set users is usually. So, and how you want to name this is you want to name it users for this array. Obviously it's plural because it's an array of users. And then it's one of those decisions that was made that at first I was like, why is this an array? And the answer to that is because they want you to be able to name this whatever you want it to be. So if it was pandas, for example, you could easily name it pandas and it wouldn't really matter. What matters is what's coming out of here. Yes, and then that would change to pandas. Thank you. We're going to go back to users because that's what this is. So basically, this single line of code right here takes care of all of this constructor. Is that a fair thing to say, Jordan? There.
Yeah, pretty much. Since we're not a class component, we don't have to worry about invoking the parent class. So
if we come down here, we can see that. Oh, yep, this is users. Yep. And then where else did we change that? Nowhere else. Yep.
that was it for now.
Cool. All right. So my job here is done. Your turn.
You only did one piece of the state, Riley.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I shouldn't have deleted all of the things, the entire constructor, because it was null by default.
Okay.
So now we got to go down below and change the selected user ID, get rid of that. All right, fine.
Oh, yeah, we still need that function back.
Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is, hey, when the component mounts, we want to do this. So when this function is called, we want to start getting users, right? And to do that, we want to say not use effect, react.use effect. And in this documentation, you can see how it's used differently over here. But because we are just importing all as React, we can do react.use effect. Honestly, I prefer this syntax more. Do you have an opinion on that at all, Jordan?
I don't really care, but I do know that my editor, if I type in use effect, will auto import it for me.
Or auto put the React on it.
Yeah. Since we're doing a star import, it'll auto do it for me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So use effect is a function that takes basically a callback at the top. And what we're going to do is we are going to say, oh, this needs to be an async function, right? So
it
async.
cannot be an async function.
Oh, it can't. Okay. So how do you do that then?
Yeah, you actually can't directly call it async.
So, so this is what we have to do. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We can do this. So what we could do is we could say const get users is probably what we would name this. And we would say async, and this is a function, and boom, right? And basically what we would be returning is this right here. Are you taking over for me?
I was just going to move all of that in there for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
because we do want
that's
the
nice.
try catch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So in here, oh yeah, you commented out the other things. So right here, we still have this set state happening, right? And that is no longer what we need. We need set users. So set users. And then in here, what are we mad about?
It doesn't take an object anymore.
Oh, yes, because now we're just the array, right? So if we what am I missing here?
You haven't. We didn't actually type our state value.
Our state value. Oh, right there. Oh, okay. User is not assignable to parameter of type set state. User is not assignable to never. So if that's the case, right? So what he's saying is array of user here. That's totally what it was. That missing parenthesis is what broke it. Thanks, Howa, the cameraman. Okay.
All right, then.
Yeah, there we go. So it's been fixed.
Except you're not actually calling get users yet.
Except for we're not actually calling get users yet. Oh, yes. Do we not?
We have users.
Yeah, and we don't have Prettier installed. Prettier is another awesome tool, another shameless plug that when I hit save right here, it would typically add the semicolon, but that's okay. I'm just used to Prettier making up for my bad habits. Oh, you are adding Prettier.
I just need a config file for my extension to pick it up.
What is your opinion on adding a default of blank here?
I would not add it as a default of blank. I would add it, and if the ESLint plugin yells at me, which we don't even have ESLint running, but there's an ESLint plugin that we should be using.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So if this yelled at you, I would listen to it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what this means is if anything changes, rerun this, right?
No, what this means is we don't care if anything changes.
Cool. Now your turn. Now we got component did mount done. We have the state done. Now you've got to do the toggle select.
All right.
This one is way easier than the last one.
So we're gonna basically just rip out the this.setState calls and call set selected user ID,
which we have. Yep, which we have defined up here.
But it's mad about ID again because we didn't type this as a number.
And that is not Guaranteed, right? Yep. And there we go.
And so now we can use toggle select down here. Poof.
Beautiful. Okay, the last one, which is essentially the same thing. I guess we have this users. So this line we can get rid of completely because we don't need it on state anymore. So that one's gone. So now we just got this sucker left, which, oh nope, that is not at all how you uncomment everything.
Not when I use block comments like that.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to do const filter names. This is still a function that returns void. We are no longer going to be using this dot set state. We are going to be calling set users and not this. We don't need this anymore. Now, so set users. Oh, and again, we have this object. We're not using an object anymore. This is just an array. And voila, we're back. So there's this formatting looks goofy, but what part of it looks goofy? It's down here. It's these guys that look goofy. These need to be indented 1. There we go. Now that looks a little bit better. So we should be good. So now if we click on this, everything is working as intended. And then, yeah, let's try to search. Yep. So that was us converting a class component to a functional component. Hopefully this was useful. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. I don't know, whatever you feel like doing.